Hello and welcome to the first ever episode of AgilityCast, a new web show from CA Technologies. Here's my co-host, Marla.
Hey, thanks, Alf. We are here today to talk about business agility that's recently been defined as the modern way to do business. I am excited to introduce Ronica Roth. She is a world-class transformation consultant that's worked with many of the Fortune 100 companies on their digital evolution. So Ronica, what in the world is so great about business agility? Why do we care?
Thanks for asking. I love thinking about that question because I want it to be something that is so great and not just something we have to do. So one of the definitions that we use for business agility is like the ability to sense and respond as a matter of course, which already sounds a little buzzwordy. So I was thinking, I've been thinking about what that means, right? So imagine this, new opportunities to save money, make money, and they can do that effectively because they have context, right? So your leadership team, through communication, through regular cadences, is able to communicate what is our vision, what's our strategy, what is it we care about, what do we want to do. Everyone understands that from top to the bottom, in and out. And so when people see something, they're able to say, hey, that's a thing, that's an opportunity, that's a threat, that's something we need to respond to. And it can be little things like, hey, there's a new technology out there and we could test better. We could test faster and quicker and get better results. It could be, if we reorganize this little couple of teams, we could deploy software or products faster or safer. Or it could be huge, like, hey, there's a new market. We should be entering a new market or defining a new market. So imagine that. So that's everybody is sensing. And then the response piece, right? So your organization is healthy enough that it can then respond to what it sees without a reorg, without heartache, without pain and difficulty, like, oh, wait, put on the brakes, we have to change everything. And, it's not like that. It's, we have established cadences throughout the organization that are explicitly designed to reflect. We pause frequently to say, okay, this is our plan. This is what we're trying to accomplish. How are we doing? Is it working? Is it still the right plan? And we're able to adjust. You can do that because your organization is a network of high-functioning, small, cross-functional teams. And so for those teams to sort of switch gears isn't so difficult. To arrange that network slightly differently isn't so difficult. And they can do that because they're all focused on the big picture, going back to clarity, right? They can see the big picture, not just their silo. And every one of those teams has their customers and our customer at the center of what they do. If you can always pull it back to what does it do for our customers, then it's not painful to say, oh yeah, I love that project we were working on. I was passionate about it, but it's not the right project anymore. And I'm okay with that because I know why. And again, fully engaged. I'm not just going to, I see the opportunity, I'm all in, right? So that to me is what's so great about, that's what a business agility looks like. And that's why I think it's so great.
So I just read a statistic that 60 to 80% of software features never get deployed.
Right.
So it sounds like in this perfect world of business agility, that would never happen. Is that correct?
Well, never is a pretty strong word. My therapist said never, say always or never. Yeah, it would happen a lot less, right? So part of what we would do is we're seeking feedback. We're working on a set of features and initiative. We're going to add some functionality to our software product. And we think it's going to make all the difference in the world. But our attitude is, I don't assume I've got it right. I don't assume it's the right thing to do. And our own engineering organization does this, right? We have a strong opinion. Using flow-based visualization systems, that's the latest thing, and that's what's going to make our customers successful. We believe that. Let's work on it. But we immediately have an attitude of, that's my hypothesis. My hypothesis is this is the right thing. My hypothesis is this is the right way to build it. And so what can we build? Let's build some small thing, put it in the hands of some customers, get some fast feedback, and be willing to hear wow, you got that wrong.
Absolutely right.
And so I'm not going to build the 10, the 20, the 50 features that I had planned. I'm going to, which are that 80% that you just,
Right.
60%. I'm going to build a few features, and then I'm willing to pivot, right? I'm willing to make a small pivot and adjust what I'm doing, or a big pivot and say that was the wrong thing to work on entirely.
Wouldn't this work very well outside of software development?
We talk about like data-driven decision making. So part of that, the other flip side of that hypothesis approach is the scientific approach that says, well, we need data to get answers. So we have a hypothesis that, so take a marketing, for example, right? We have this messaging or these offers, or this information is going to serve our customers. That's our theory. But we assume it's a theory. We don't assume we know. And so as a marketing engine, we're going to put out some messages and do some testing. Maybe we do A/B testing. Again, the thought is, how do I get fast feedback? I mentioned, the customers at the center. And so it's not, part of that flip. So for marketing becomes, and for sales is not what do I want to give my customer, which of course they should want, but what is going to serve my customer? What's going to provide value? So many people out there in this modern world, even in the business to business world, are providing value just through information for free on their website, right? If you're not providing value, it's becoming so cheap for your customer to change who they work with and partner with. So to me, business agility is, I constantly am trying to look for ways to provide value that will lead to the partnership, that leads to the long-term relationship, that we constantly earn the right to be in.
The same way there's no analog companies anymore, even farming is digital now. Eventually you can't survive without have some agility to it. Is that your predictions?
Absolutely. Well, and it's what I'm seeing, right? John Deere is a classic example, right? They look like they build tractors, right? Their actual mission is to feed the world, and one of the ways they do that is through incredibly sophisticated GPS positioning devices and software that enables them to increase the yield for every acre. And because they want to feed the world, they do all of that. I mean, they've been using Agile in software, but also in how they make business decisions for a really long time.
It sounds like visibility then is really important, but that's a big factor, is like, how do I get visibility into everything that's going on in my organization to make the right decisions to feed the world?
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great way to say it. Visibility. We talk a lot about visibility and transparency, and which then creates a separate problem, which is sort of the signal to noise ratio. Right. So in the world of big data, we have so much information. How do you focus on the right information? For me, some of that goes back to in my vision of that business agility company. The leaders have a lot of information about what strategy is that has to be able to cascade throughout the organization. Then they need feedback loops. What people are working on and whether it's successful has to feed back up. Is this feeding our strategy? Is this being successful? Yeah. So the individual contributor needs to be able to not only see their work and how am I going to collaborate with my teammates, but see how my work connects to strategy, right? So again, everyone sensing and responding, hey, I feel like I'm working on something that maybe isn't the right thing, needs to be able to say that, right? And to your point, at the highest level, somebody needs to be able to say, wow, this was our strategy. It's dependent on a schedule, for example, a deadline. Are we going to make it? And if we're not, what does that do for our strategy? What adjustments do we need to make? So again, sense, respond. Absolutely depends on information. And these things have been light bulb moments that enable the rest of the conversation. It's like, wow, okay, if that's true, let's talk about what that means in a real business. Let's talk about what to do about it.
That's interesting, because some people say, this path to agility is hard, but you're making it sound so simple, based on your experience. So, why isn't everybody doing it? What should companies really know about this if they're not agile today?
Well, yeah, so simple but not easy, right? Yeah. So this agile thing, I mean, everything I've been describing so far isn't really about process or a specific set of practices, but it is about a very specific philosophy around cadence, reflection, adjustment, feedback, right? Hypotheses. I see people working together, and when they're not working together well, I want to fix it. And I can get down into the details of setting up a process that helps them work together. And that is great, but it's not about process. It is about people, right? So what are the things you're doing to either reinforce or accidentally dampen what you're trying to do? Leaders are really powerful here. So we say, okay, I played the penny game, Ronica, and I get it that we want to work in small batches with quick releases. But as a leader, or as a program manager, I keep stuffing more work into the pipeline.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you can say you want small batches all day long, but if what you really do is keep stuffing more work in, then that's going to undo what you're trying to accomplish. I can say I want engagement, and so I can provide my employees visibility and say you have authority to make decisions, but then I tell them what to do all the time, right? I mean, and what makes it hard is all of us, whether you're a CEO, a manager, an individual contributor, when we're stressed, we go back to what we're used to,
Mm-hmm.
right? So in the time of pressure, I'm going to go back to, look, my boss's boss wants an update, and you need to provide it, and that's got to happen. And this happened to me recently, and I said, look, I haven't started that project because we believe in limiting work in process, and I've been trying to focus, and that item is next. At first there's oh, that's uncomfortable, and then there was oh, right, because that's what's going to work. So paying attention to people and helping every person reinforce the mindset. So we do that through coaching leaders. We can do that through creating communities of practice where people get together and talk about, how they're reporting data, how they're reporting progress, what they're asking people. Are we reinforcing agility, or are we accidentally kind of tamping it down? So there's a consciousness around the people at the center of it all.
Well, I really want to thank you, Ronica, for taking the time to educate us. It sounds very zen that you have to practice as much as you study, so anything happens. And you can't wait for anything; it would just appear. Anyway, we do appreciate you taking the time to talk to us.
Thank
and I
you.
hope to see you soon again.